The perfect love cast out fear. What are we facing every day? Like, I feel like the darkness is like coming over me sometimes, of fear, and it comes over our bones. I think that's what we were talking about. But just like, I want to say that.
My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love.
Hello there, it's Keith Stevens talking with Josh Baldwin. He shares about some of his songs like Stand in Your Love, Evidence, Time and Time Again, and some new songs he's working on.
I love that song.
I love that song.
I love that song.
Hey, welcome to I Love That Song. I'm Keith Stevens, your host, here today with my friend Josh Baldwin. Welcome, Josh. Good to have you.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You have recorded so many great songs that we share on I Love That Song, the podcast, and of course on KTIS.
Thank you.
And so many of them, and we're going to talk about those today.
All right.
Because that's what you do.
That's what I do.
That's what you do for a living. And you've written a bunch of songs. And what are you excited about this year with your music?
Oh, wow. I'm excited. This year, hopefully, it's in the books. You know, you never know. You kind of plan.
Yes.
You plan, the Lord orders. You know what I mean? And I have a song and a handful of songs that I'm pumped to get out that are a little more, you know, like if I'm older on the front porch, just reflecting, writing worship songs about my life, but just. Maybe they have like they sound like where I'm from, you know, the mountains of North Carolina, kind of that vibe. And so I have those kind of songs I want to get out. One is specifically called Full Grown Man that I actually wrote about Jesus being an old soul. And it came out of a conversation with my buddy, and I was talking about his son, who's my best friend. His son and my son are best friends. And at the time, his son was like 11, and I was just joking because his son's like one of those old souls where he's 11 years old, but he's like, is he like a 60-year-old man?
Right.
Like, well, you know,
deep person.
Yeah, just deep.
Isn't it great?
And and we were joking about that, and I was like, dude, your son is he's like a full-grown man at a real young age.
Yes.
And my buddy was like, you should write a country song like that, like that's a line from a country song, and then I sat down with some friends to write, and I was talking about that story, and then I was like, wait, no, I want to write a song talking about Jesus. Like, he's like, who is the oldest soul? You know, who's eternal, and who's the 12-year-old in the synagogue teaching the leaders? And so over 4 years ago, I wrote this song called Full Grown Man that just talks about the Lord being an old soul.
I can't wait for this song.
I'm pumped about it. And so
Come on.
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked, because I
Wow.
don't get to talk about the new ones that aren't out yet.
Right.
You know, people want to hear about the ones you've done. Full-grown man. So,
yep.
Excited.
Because that's excellent perspective that he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And was calling it like it is.
It's a cool, because I think the song too, when someone asked me like, what's it about? And I was like, it's about his life, but it's like kind of like Jesus, the Son of Man part, not the Son of God. You know, just like making him like realizing like he was just 12 years old, and he's teaching these people. And then when he died, he was only 33. Like he was a full grown man at a real young age. And then, so, I'm excited for that one.
Does your friend get like taken out to dinner who gave you that line? Does he get a steak dinner or something?
He does. He's my guitar player, so he'll be playing it a lot.
So he's going to be playing
He'll be a part of
He's
it.
going to be living it and loving it, which is just great. So when are these songs coming out? Do you know?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I wish I could say. I mean, I'm in the middle of like recording and doing all that.
So you've got a bunch of songs that are reflective, sitting on the porch, thinking about life, you know, what season of life you're in. And so it is a time to reflect and look back, because there was a song by Bruce Carroll, which I loved, called The Middle Ages. Yeah. You're in the Middle Ages, neither so young or old. You're in the Middle Ages where half the story's told. Looking to the past, but waiting for the future to unfold. But there's a knowing hand that turns the pages in the Middle Ages.
So good.
And I love it because really, in those years, sometimes not everything's always mapped out. I talked to my son yesterday because he's 30. He's in Southern California, and he's had, career kind of take off. And then he had his engagement with his beautiful girlfriend, and then they got married, and that's taken off. But it's like, well, now what? Those were kind of the gimmies, kind of the obvious things you conquer. But now as you look out, things are a little more unclear. Well, what do I do next in the career? What do I do next to my job? What do I kind of go to? What's God calling me to? So for you, I love that you're actually addressing some of those things in your own life, and they're going to come out through the lyrics and through the music of your songs.
I hope so. And I think too, I think there's an ease at the age I'm at, and just
a confidence
because I've done some worrying, I've done some planning, and not everything has worked out, but I've seen the Lord's hand through all of it. And so you can look back and like be reminded of how faithful he's been, and how he steered you in the right way when maybe you went the wrong, and and he's just confirmed decisions that you should make. And so moving forward, it's like, okay, now I feel I'm a little more at ease with dreaming and thinking about the future. And I feel like I do it. It's funny because I feel like, not that I don't care as much, but I'm not quite as afraid or freaked out about the future that I was. But and in some regard, it helps me dream better. Yeah. Because I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go this way, and Lord, if it's not the right thing, then you just steer me. But as long as I keep moving, it's easy. It's easy to be led when you're actually moving.
Yeah. And so a man decides in his heart, but God directs his steps.
Right, totally.
And so as you look at that, you can look back at the victories of the past, have the confidence now, and have the steady confidence of like a Christian, but you're holding 4 aces. Right. So knowing that going forward is helpful, but we don't always get there right away. It takes some time.
It does take time.
Doesn't it take time? What was it like growing up in the mountains of North Carolina?
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah.
I grew up. My dad's from the mountains.
Yeah.
We ended up. Most of my life, I grew up in a little town called Albemarle, which is hard to say and just like
hard to spell.
A little bit outside of Charlotte. It was sweet. I loved being from a small town. Grew up playing sports, playing basketball, a little baseball, a little golf here and there.
Are there things that you did as a child that you want to pass down, like to your kids or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, the sports thing's a big, just watching sports with my son is a big thing. Me and my dad did that, and that's what we do.
Good.
And there's that. I mean, obviously music, I've passed it down. I played music because of my dad. He's a pastor, but he was also a worship leader and was actually like a 70s rocker, played
Same here.
Played football in college, but also was in a rock and roll band.
Oh, he's like Meatloaf.
Yeah,
right?
He just did them both. He was the guy with the helmet. He had the football helmet on and had the long hair coming out of the football helmet because he was also in a rock band.
Yeah.
And so I got the music bug from him, and then I'm passing it on to my kids, and so those are the things that they just were naturally like, hey, here's what we do. But I mean, I didn't like push it on him. Actually, my son loves sports. He doesn't play it as much as me, but we'll watch. But they just grabbed. My dad was so good about not forcing me into something that he loved. That he loved what he loved, and he wanted me to love it with him. But like, he wasn't gonna I didn't feel like it was pushed on me.
He exposed you to it.
Yeah, it's like, here it is. But and I loved it.
And then you could
even
choose
more than him. And so it's been the same with.
What's your favorite sport?
Basketball. Traditionally, growing up, I played a lot of basketball. Love college basketball. I love the NBA. But and then as I got older, golf has been my main sport.
All right.
And it's my favorite sport now.
Good for you. Any albums that you had your kids listen to that you say, this is one you have to know or you have to hear as a music person?
I remember there's a couple. I do remember letting them hear Switchfoot, the Beautiful Letdown album.
Yes.
Especially because it came out, they did an anniversary, a version of it last year. And that's when I was like, and we were on our way to school in the mornings, and I would throw on some of these songs and just watching them, like my son especially, he's playing drums and he was like, what? Oh my goodness. Just loving it. There's those. I've let my son listen to, I have old Tom Petty records, and so we'll put on the old Tom Petty vinyls.
Yeah, which ones do you have?
I have the Torpedoes.
The Torpedoes, yeah. With
And
Refugee and all
Refugee,
that on there.
that one.
Don't
I have
Do
the
Me Like
greatest
That.
hits one. It has, which is good because it just has all
The Waiting.
all the hits.
That one, The Waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, those are the main ones I have. There's another one I have.
I would have,
Wildflowers.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I would have my kids listen because I want them to hear the analog, and I'm a music guy too.
Right.
So I'm like, I made them lay on the
Yes.
floor on the carpet, separate the speakers. I put on the vinyl. I say, you have to listen to the entire
Yeah.
album for it. This is education.
And that's
So-
what, and my son loved. He was like, loved to actually
Yes.
change, like physically putting that on
Yes.
and the neat and just like, and I was like, that's how. He was like, is this how you listen to music? And I was like, well, it's like I'm not that old.
Right.
Like it's cooler now than it was even when I was a
Yeah.
kid. But
Yeah.
it's like this is how Poppy listened to music.
It's nice because you hear the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
cap on the highs.
Yeah.
So the analog, the open feel, that's
so
great.
good.
Talk about the song Time and Time Again.
Wow. Time and Time Again was a song I wrote with one of my best friends, Mac Brock, who funny enough, me and Mac lives in Charlotte. I'm from Charlotte area, and I lived in Charlotte for years. And we were friends there, and funny enough, we both led worship, but never did music together, never wrote anything together. We were mainly friends because of sports. Again, we were in like a fantasy football league.
Okay.
And, and tons of, group threads about sports. We would always joke that, like, he's like, I think I'm in more group threads with you than I am anyone in my life. And we even like had a sports podcast that we did for a little bit
Fun.
for a short season. So our relationship was mostly that. And even though we both did the same thing.
Yeah.
And so we always joked around about how like we kind of wanted to write together, but then it's like, what if the one thing we hate doing together is actually writing songs, and then it ruins our friendship, and then what are we gonna
Right,
do?
then you fight.
Yeah, maybe we should just keep this like
don't
let's
mix
just
business
be
with-
buddies and not
friendship.
But we finally did. We wrote. Me and him got together with our friend Hank Bentley, and Time and Time Again just came from an idea that Mac had about the Lord being faithful, and so that was one of the first songs me and Mac wrote, and then we realized, okay, we can do this. This is going to be good for our friendship. But really it came out of just seeing the Lord's hand on our life, and how he's all the things that he's done in the scriptures, and then he said greater things that we can do, and just going back and looking and seeing how the Lord's been faithful over and over again. But then also I think even the bridge was the Psalm 40, like you put a new song in my mouth. And that's where that came. And it just I think too, like writing, I'm really good friends with Hank too, the other writer in there. Writing songs like that with like friendships that you've had for years too, and you can even feel the history of that together.
Yes.
And like even when me and Mac are writing, like I know struggles and things he's gone through over the last 15, 20 years. We've been friends. He knows mine. Our families are like, there's like, you can feel you can feel the trust. You feel the history even in the song. And so the funny thing though too is that writing that song, we were writing it for him. Like it was going to be his song that he was putting on his album. And then he waited for a while. He didn't have an album come out. And I had Bethel Music. We were doing a live album out in the Redwood Forest in California. And they heard that song and they were like, can you do this? And I was like, well, it's kind of Mac's song. I mean, I wrote it with him, but like, and
Did
so
you text him? Did you call him?
Yeah, I was like,
Say,
Mac, are you cool? He was like, yes, of course I'm fine with you recording my song.
Right.
And so I did it. I did a version of that. Then I did a live album, Made for More Live. I put it on that. So the funny thing, Mac finally recorded it, and he has a recording of it. And then he asked me to be on it. But we wrote the song for him, and I ended up recording it twice before he did his first time.
Right, so another guy to take out for dinner.
Yeah, right.
Taking the steak dinner.
They're piling up
It's
here.
good.
all the
Hey,
guys. But
it's
I
exciting.
love that one. Though.
So you sang one of your songs on stage at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I sang Evidence there, and that song, even cool that we were talking about family earlier. That song was I wrote that chorus with my friend Ethan, and just the singing that I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life. We had that for like a year, and just this chorus that we knew was really special.
When you have it for a year, where does it go? Does it just sit somewhere?
It just sits on my phone and
Sits
just
on the
lives
phone?
there.
Yeah.
in my voice memos.
Yes.
And we had it, not meaning we didn't do anything. We were trying to write the rest of it. We even got some other guys in to like help us, and nothing just fit with it. I don't know. It just
Nothing gelled.
Yeah, nothing gelled, and just the chorus felt so special that anything we were trying to put with it just wasn't living up to what we felt like it needed to be to fit. And I remember we got together, me and Ethan, with little known writer and artist Ed Cash, who now lead singer for We the Kingdom. But this is right when actually We the Kingdom had just started out. He was actually, I remember riding with him and he's talking to us about, I just started this band with the family.
Yes.
But we were talking about that song, and I remember Ed's like, well, what does it mean? Like when you think about looking at the goodness of God all over your life, over your history, like what does that mean? What do you see? And I definitely was, my first thing was like my family, obviously, like my wife and kids, and just how the Lord's so faithful to like bring me just a loving family. But even before that, I was like, but I also see like my dad and just how he came to the Lord in the 70s and the Jesus movement.
Yes.
And he was on his way the opposite direction. And then my grandfather was an alcoholic. My dad never heard my grandfather tell him he loved him sober. And I was thinking about just seeing the Lord's goodness in my life and the history, and thinking about my family, where the Lord met my dad in his 20s, and seeing how like the Lord had his hand on not just me, but like my history, like the lineage before me, to even make it possible for me to be. I grew up in a Christian home, and so that all like hit me, and then that's how we started writing the verses that start out with, all throughout my history, your faithfulness has walked beside me. And that's what I think of as like my grandfather and my father, and even my grandfather came to know the Lord before he passed away. And then, so I get to be at the Grand Ole Opry, and I'm singing that song, and my dad came to the Opry, and he's talking to me about, I didn't even realize at the time, like how important the Opry was to my grandfather. Like he listened to it every time it was on at the radio. And I didn't grow up listening to country music as much. So, and it was special. I knew like the history and just the sacred place that the Opry is. And, but I think hearing that personal thing from my dad, and I realized like, oh, I'm singing the song Evidence that's like kind of the verses birthed out of my grandfather and my dad. And to be able to be there, that felt so special.
That's like a surprise from God.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't dream that up at all. That was like way
so cool.
And then even in the moment, I talked a little bit even about being there and just what this song meant to me. And I'm singing Evidence, and people like were raising their hands, and
in the Grand Ole Opry.
In the Grand Ole Opry.
It's like a worship service.
It was. It really felt like a worship moment. And I didn't have my band there. I played with the old Opry band.
Did you guys have to rehearse it a little bit ahead of time?
Yeah, we rehearsed it really quick. And
Isn't that cool?
What
night was it?
Pros. Gosh, it was a Thursday night, I think, in August, 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
That's gold.
Yeah,
that's gold.
Amazing.
That's 650 WSM,
yeah.
Clear channel across America,
Yeah.
listening to country all night long. And by the way, what I love about Evidence is the cold open.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just right out of the gate, you got to be ready. It is.
It's great.
Yeah.
Why? Because it gets right to it. It captures your
Yeah.
attention. It pulls you in. It's got something to say.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait to get there.
Yeah.
And that was very well done.
Well, thank you.
It's really powerful. Good record.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
good.
you so much.
We're talking with Josh Baldwin today on I Love That Song, and we have to talk about Stand in Your Love. And I always hear that song. It kind of takes me back to maybe a song earlier in my life, or hearing some of the music I grew up with. It's got just a real authentic vibe to it. Did you plan it that way on purpose? It's kind of open, you know? It just has kind of that feel where you can jump in and you can remember it. It's not overcrowded.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And it's funny that you said it, because I feel like it was kind of one of the first songs that I wrote and was a part of that it felt the most like me, you know?
Yeah.
And even the way it came out, it was in the writing, me and the few people there were all just kind of like, with our guitars and just kind of open and authentic, and just, I think
it's kind of acoustic.
Yeah. And I think the first version of it that I had on my phone, we just put a phone down and all 3 or 4 of us just sat there and sang it.
Yeah.
And that's all I had for like weeks before I actually let it for worship. And so, but it was a song where I think I stopped. I felt like it was just it was just the most authentic version of me that I'd written and been a part of in a while, maybe ever. And it kind of just gave me permission to just like fully, like from then on, just be yourself. Just like however songs come out, just let them come out like that and just be you and it's okay. Like, cause I mean, I think of myself as an artist and a songwriter, but I got started in this being a worship leader. And I think that's what I think of myself as, is worship. I'm a worship leader. And so in some ways I was like, if I'm going to be a worship leader and I want to lead worship and write songs for the church all over the world, so they don't all sound country like I do. So I thought maybe I've got to like make this a little more applicable to a church somewhere, in the north or whatever.
You've done it though. You found the right mix.
Well, I think it was just, it ended up me just being myself, and it does come out a little more like North Carolina boy. But I think people mostly are just like, I just want to hear the way the Lord sounds in you,
That's right.
and not, don't make it sound like the way you think I want it to sound like. Just be yourself, and then we'll grab on. And so that song opened it all up for me.
It sure did.
Yeah.
It sure did.
In more ways than one.
Because it's memorable and it's a easy concept and to get.
Just very conversational, which is what I wanted it to be. Just here's what
did that open it up for you more then? I mean, just because I know that was the debut big.
I mean, it was
single.
the first. Well, it was the first song that was on the radio, and I never thought that was even again, we were talking about the Opry, but radio and all. It wasn't even a dream that I had. I just lead worship. I'm just writing worship songs. And
was WRCM around then?
Yes, 91.9.
Yeah, was that
That's
on?
what I grew up listening to, the Carolina Christian Countdown.
Come on, man,
every
I know.
Saturday morning.
Of course.
Yes.
So was it playing
I had
on?
friends that lived.
Was it playing on RCM or maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What was it like for you when you heard your song in Charlotte on RCM?
That was crazy. My mom, I remember she texted me and she was just crying, and that was really special.
That's really special when you hear it in your own town.
Yeah.
No, that's.
I mean,
like
I have
underscore.
So at our church there, we had some of the DJs that worked there who went to our church back then, and I'm still friends with. I know them, and they work at other stations now.
Yes.
But I remember I've gone on some of those stations and had them interview me. And I grew up with it. I remember this actually one lady, Shelly. She was like the coolest person I knew. She was on the radio. I would hear Shelly's voice on the radio, just a kid listening. And then now fast forward, now she's interviewing me, and I got to tell her, like, I thought you were like the most famous person I knew.
Right.
And she just jokes me. She's like, well, now you're the most famous. And I was like, well, that's not true, but I appreciate that. That's funny. But yeah, it was so sweet.
If you could spend the day with somebody who's gone now in your life, who would you spend it with, and what would you do?
Oh gosh, someone who's gone. I think it would be probably two people. My two grandparents, my Pappy Jim, James McLean. He passed away. My mother's dad. He passed away when I was 8, and I remember him. I remember hanging out with him. He loved golf. He loved the Lord. He sang in choir, and I remember some parts of this, but what I've heard of him, he was just a fireball. I mean, he was like very different from me. I'm more like my grandmother, calm, more laid back,
more chill.
Yeah, he was more of a go-getter and fiery, and I would love to hang out with him for a day. And then my dad's mom, she passed away when I was 2, so I never really got to know her at all. And she was the same. I heard was just like very bubbly and fiery and people person, and those are the two people I think about it often. And even I'll hear my grandmother. My grandmother's still alive. She just turned 90 this past Christmas Day, and so she talks about my pappy a decent amount. She's like, oh, he would love your music, and just so that would be fun.
And you know what, when you talk about him or she talks about him, she keeps him alive.
Yeah.
It's so important. So important to do those memories and to share them.
Oh, yeah.
And that's neat that you mentioned them for that question. So what has God been teaching you lately in your life?
I've been reading in Acts a lot lately, which I don't ever do that much. I mean, I feel like I started a few weeks ago, and it was like the first time intentionally I was like, I'm going to read the book of Acts, which
usually not.
I know. But I'm reading it. It's like, it almost feels like watching like a mini series, because there's so many, like Paul and Barnabas go over here and they do that. And it's just like, I'm thinking like, I want this to be like a show. Like after The Chosen, like let's do Acts. Let's do like the life of Paul and all that. Cause it's just,
and you could write the 29th, 30th, and 31st chapter.
Yes.
In our own lives.
There you go.
And add it.
I think, it just, it kind of fires you up when you see like the passion that was on their life to like, it reminds me of just even growing up in church. And I remember even starting to lead worship when I was in a youth group and things like that. And I just felt that fire lit. And I'm just like, this is all I want to do with my life.
Right.
And it reminded me like to go back to that first love and just, yeah.
That's good. It's a good time. That's important. Do you lead worship in your own church?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I led a lot when I was at Bethel in California, and I go back there every now and then. But then we have a church just about 10 minutes down the road.
So you lead
and I
on
lead
Sunday?
there.
Okay.
Not every Sunday. I mean, I lead
Once in a while.
once every 2 or 3 months, just whenever they ask.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good, because you want to keep that.
It's been nice, yeah.
Where you're not working, so to speak.
And it's actually the first time in my life I haven't led at least once a month or twice a month, or
Right.
been on staff and led every Sunday.
It
So
feels good.
It is, yeah. It's been good to just go to church with my family.
Yes.
and just sit there
And
and
yes.
worship together and be together. And
And you know who appreciates that? Your family.
yeah, they do. My
Your
wife
wife.
definitely appreciates that.
She's like, my wife would say to me, I want you to just sit with me.
Yeah.
I don't want you. And I did. So I always did because, doing this for a living, Monday through Friday or on the weekends hosting concerts or things like
Yeah.
that. I think, yes, it's very important just
is.
to be there.
And it makes it
Play that
even
role.
more special when I get to lead and it's my church and it just
Sure.
yeah.
It's cool.
It feels different.
It feels different.
yeah.
And plus out of it maybe comes some more songs for your
Totally.
records.
I mean, yes, that's
Yeah.
honestly I love leading, but I love leading for multiple reasons, but one of the things too is just having moments in there where maybe I've had so many songs start from just worship times where
Sure.
we're just singing out something and I'm like, oh wow, that's a chorus. Yeah.
Having a little bit of margin is so very good. I'm glad you're getting that time. Josh, thank you very much for spending time today. It's been a pleasure.
This has been such a joy.
It's so great, man. We're very excited for you, for all that God's doing in your life. You bring a lot of joy to a lot of people. Keep it up. Stay strong.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're, again, taking time to restore and renew. And we wish you the best this year.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. I Love That Song. I Love That Song is a faith podcast. Discover more at myfaithpodcasts.com.
I love that song.
I love that song.
I love that song.